interact with and engage and stimulate your child so that he or she can be a lot more cognitively aware, can have better fine and gross motor skills. So in other words, when they go into school, they can hold a pencil a little bit better. They can throw a ball and catch a ball, and they are a lot more expressive verbally. Science and certainly research has shown the more words that a child hears in formative years, the more words they use. As they say, a child is a sponge. In its environment, it just soaks up everything. So if a child only hears 5 words in a day, the language development of that child will be reflective of that environment. So it's very simple things, and how can we break it down through a community health aide going and saying, when you're cooking, the child might be in the crib, but talk about what you're doing. Let them hear words, let them hear you singing. And then as that child grows older, you can interact certainly a lot more in terms of engaging them in some of those types of activities.
Before I go on to the case, I'm just going to ask a question. Don't you think it's really our cultural approach to psychological development in terms of, I think a lot Caribbean people tend to think that they do not connect your psychological stimulation to what you do in life. So like they're thinking that, okay, these are the things, even though I'm talking, because they tell you like the child is in the tummy, you can read, you can listen to music, and these things, they somehow, a lot of them don't connect it. They think it's just nonsense you're talking, even when there is a way that you should really teach them how, as you said, these are the skills, and they don't even understand this cognitive development. Some people don't even know what you're talking about when you say that. What do you think we can do to break it down? Because it's not even just people in remote areas. You have educated
people. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So how can we break that barrier?
A lot more sensitization is needed, and we certainly need to raise the profile of the importance of what it is programs like ECHO and RCP can do. We certainly are monitoring and evaluating and looking at the impact, and we've got findings from impact studies done already on the Roving Caregivers program that shows scientifically that it impacts on outcomes for children in terms of language development, expressive language, cognitive and social development, and that type of thing. So it really is about a lot of the sensitization, and certainly with ECHO, now that has just started, they're doing a lot of that community sensitization, and we expect that over time we'll need to do a lot more of that. But I think is to really, find creative ways in which people can be sensitized. It may be through radio programs, through flyers, through using, exhibitions. Roving Caregivers program has been mounting exhibitions all over the place now. So what we're doing is deliberately trying to, as we say in the office, we're flipping the script. we want people to really understand what it is when we talk about early childhood development, and get a better appreciation for what the potential is in terms of children at a young age. It really is robbing children of the opportunity to realize their maximum potential, and that we see these programs like ECHO and RCP providing some sort of an opportunity to level the playing field and give them that opportunity. So there's a lot of work to be done in terms of advocacy and communications, and we're doing that.
Yes, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the pediatric ward has always been in the top in terms of our care for our neonatal and prenatal. But now that Mrs. Branker is saying that we are presenting a very exciting opportunity, I guess, even show that we know what we're all about by linking all these partners who work to develop children. How do you feel? I know you haven't met with us yet, but how are you feeling about that?
No, I've been working with Mrs. Branker.
No, I mean like the meeting with regard to this.
Yes, as I said, we are very excited about the program. You're quite correct. Our hospital has been noted many years ago as one of the first baby-friendly hospitals in the Caribbean.
Wow.
And that's the kind of service. Currently, we are serving as the regional hub for the International Hospital for Children, where we're bringing in children from throughout the OECS to receive high quality of care at our hospital. The very serious, important surgeries that persons from Grenada, St. Lucia, etc. come in here. So we put a lot of emphasis on child care, generally speaking. Now, this is an addition to all of that. And it's all part of the general trust of the government to provide social services to the population and start at the very early age. You know, for the last 9-10 years, the emphasis was on education. We have moved from a situation where less than 40% of the children who are eligible to go into secondary school could have found places, to a situation where each child is guaranteed a place in secondary school. And recently, well, we always had universal access for primary education. And recently now, the government is now talking about early childhood education. That is dealing with the 3 to 5 year old, where they're hoping to provide a place for each child who would need that place. Now, this gave us an important link to all of that. As Mrs. Lashley said earlier, the sciences support that the very early stimulation helps in the development. And we're hoping that as a ministry, because we already have the structure in place where our community health aides, they go into the homes already. So what we're doing now, we're providing them with additional skills to create and provide that kind of stimulation for children. And hopefully it would benefit them not only in their education outcomes, but in their life outcomes, as was alluded to earlier. We're hoping that that would impact on health, because if you have children who do well in terms of their education and other development and so forth, with our community health aides interacting with them, we're hoping that they would pay attention to issues like nutrition and even in the program, we already supporting that. Because at this stage, we have already conducted one workshop for about 20 parents in the pilot community, where they were provided with some important parenting skills in the issue of nutrition and so forth. And we have gone as far as providing them with seeds, so that they can start their own backyard gardening. So the program is really excited. It fits really smoothly into what the government is doing in terms of providing social services, and we look forward to seeing it work efficiently.
Just before I go, please, I don't know if you may have been told, because I'm quite sure the community health is going to be involved in the that, okay, we're going to be stepping up in terms of our delivery to early childhood and stimulation. What is the response from the staff? Because you know sometimes people, you're doing one thing and then you have to be told that, oh, you have to go training, and sometimes not everybody at first welcomes it or embraces it, and then eventually they come.
Yes, I must admit that initially there was some reluctance. There were persons who felt that we were giving them additional work and they ought to be compensated. But we had to make the point, and I think they came around to understanding that it's not additional work, because the duties already included going into the household to provide that support to the households. The children that we are talking about, they're part of that household, and what we're doing, we're providing them with additional skills that they can provide the kind of support and assistance for the household. I must say that the feedback that I've had is that even before they went out into the field, during the training exercises, the persons who, the community health aides, they were all excited that they're having these new skills. Even though the pilot is being conducted in the Calaqua Health District, we have invited and we have trained some of the community health aides who are outside of the Calaqua Health Districts, because we intend to train all of them by the end of the project. And I must say that the feedback I have is that even though the ones who are not included in the pilot, they have already vowed to ensure that they use the skills in their visits to the household. So I think that there's a lot going for the program. The staff, they're very excited.
Okay. Just before I go, there's one thing I want to ask you, just for clarification.
Sure.
What are you saying really is that these the support personnel would go into homes if a child is being cared for by the granny, aunt, or whomever, and what they're going to be doing is assisting or so like training to some extent that caregiver to stimulate the child.
Mhm.
Is
Yeah.
that what
Through
you're saying?
demonstration, yeah,
Demonstration.
yeah.
Okay, so it's like at the end of it now, that person
Peer.
would be
Mhm.
well equipped to
Exactly.
do it as if the child is in a preschool.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So.
Thanks.